Hi, so I'm Clara Daguin. I was born here in France, but actually I grew up in California. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my background and then show you a few projects kind of close up and then a few projects towards the end really quickly, just so you have a sort of general idea of what we work on. And I say we because I always need to have a team helping me out. I would never be able to do any of this on my own because it takes hours and hours and hours. So yeah, they're not here, but thank you to them. So I grew up in California. My dad's an engineer. He does electronic work, which is quite handy now that I'm doing lights and I need somebody to do coding for me sometimes. And I have a first degree in graphic design because when I was studying in California, I didn't realize that fashion could be something that you could express yourself with. I've always liked sewing and making garments, but it just didn't occur to me that it could be like an artistic way of expression. So I did 4 years at CCA in California College of the Arts, and I graduated in graphic design, and I really liked the sort of interactive component that came along with doing web design work and animations and stuff like that. Like you click on a button and something happens, and I really like this sort of interaction with the computer. But what was really missing for me was maybe the texture and materials, and so I would always make things sort of in 3D in real life and then bring them into the computer. And then I traveled to India, where I really realized that it was, I don't know how to explain this, but you see like people in the street making shoes, and then you have like all of these different materials that are very readily accessible, beautiful embroideries, a lot of texture, color, everything. And so then when I moved to France afterwards, I decided that I was going to pursue a degree in fashion design to really see where this sort of all these materials can take me. Also, I missed a step. When I came to France, I also discovered the work of Martin Margiela. I don't know if you know this fashion designer. Basically, a very conceptual designer. Also, Alexander McQueen, also a very conceptual designer, and all these different designers that really showed me that fashion can be a medium for expression. So, decided to go back to school for that. And in my first year at Les Arts Décoratifs in Paris, I was really lucky to have a professor named Elisabeth de Senneville, who's kind of avant-garde at her time. She was a fashion designer making, in the 80s and 90s, making clothes with very technical fabrics, like neoprene and sometimes reflective fabrics, and she was one of the first people using these materials, and she organized a workshop with the MIT who came to Paris, and it was the high low-tech group from MIT led by Leah Buckley, who's a woman, and who designed the LilyPad Arduino, which is like a little microprocessor that you can sew into fabrics with conductive thread and everything. So she came in, we did a week-long workshop where the theme was hacking IKEA chairs. So we had like basic wooden IKEA chairs, and the idea was to create a new interaction with them through the use of microprocessors, Arduino, and sensors. So we had like really interesting projects. For example, my favorite one was this project, which was, I don't know how you say, un prie-dieu, which is like a thing, you pray in church, like the chairs that are really low. So they cut the feet of the chair, and then you had to slide your bank card, and then you would get like holy water sprayed in your face. Or you had another chair, which was kind of like, it had all these little bristles that they had made out of wood, and so when you would walk up to the chair, it would detect your presence, and all the bristles would kind of stand up, and then you'd have to pet the chair for the bristles to come down. So this was my first kind of introduction to the use of electronics in physical objects, and today you're like, yeah, everything's connected, okay, big deal. But back then it was like kind of new. And so I was immediately obsessed with this. So after that week-long workshop, I decided, okay, I'm going to do what I've been doing, which is creating interactivity with like the computer, but in real life. So I started working around this idea of technology being omnipresent. And so this is my first, my graduate collection. Just a few words so you have kind of the idea. It's like technology is omnipresent, but it's all just signals that we don't see, that are invisible, but actually they're not invisible, and they're physical. They're all like in data centers and cabled up, and so that was the inspiration for this project. And so I made these tubes. I spent loads of hours making these tubes out of textiles and sort of grouping them together. And just the third outfit there has optical fibers hand stitched into them, embroidered. And the idea was like when you zip up the jacket, the light comes on. Sorry, I don't have a picture of it, but these optical fibers are really not great in textiles, like they would break and stuff, but it was like the first sort of experimentation with this. And then the following year I decided I didn't like my collection anymore and I was going to make a new collection. And I don't know if you know about this festival, this fashion competition in the south of France called le Festival d'Hyères. And basically it's really interesting because you have all of all the French fashion institutions that help organize this. And so if you are a participant in it, you get really great exposure. And so I made a new collection, I applied, and I was one of the 10 finalists. And so this collection, Body Electric, which is now also the name of my company, was this idea that the human, kind of cyborgs, like human become kind of linked with technology, and everything is kind of uniformized. You know, we all have a telephone and it all looks the same, but what's important is what is inside. And so the garments would be kind of cut out and you could see little glimpses of luminous embroidery. So there was more light than in the first collection, but still not that much. And during this time, this was 2016, there was also other designers working with light, like for example, Cute Circuit, which is a London-based brand who made really crazy LED light-up clothes and interactive things and as well. And I was also inspired by Hussein Chalayan, who in the early 2000s was working also with like lasers and a few LED projects. So I'm definitely not the only person doing this. I'm maybe just the only one left today doing it. Like everybody kind of quit, and I've just kept going because I love it so much. So this was the first piece that was like completely illuminated, and it was commissioned by Première Vision, which is this textile manufacturers fair, where you have, everyone from all over the world coming and showcasing their fabrics that they manufacture, and then fashion designers and from different houses come and choose. Anyway, so they had a whole section in 2018 called Wearable Lab, where they invited different companies that created wearable technology fabrics, and they dedicated a space to my work. It was really nice of them and really cool. It was like a kind of inside the artist studio thing where we showcased different pieces from the collections that I showed you earlier, and then this piece that I made specifically for the exhibition. And the idea is that, so this is kind of images like working in progress, and so the idea was that it was presented in space open. So it's a dress, you can wear it and you can zip it up, or you can zip it open and then you can walk in through the middle. And so the idea was to have everybody be able to experience couture and to have their aura light up, because there's a temperature sensor in the middle, and so when you come through, it detects that there's a presence and it sort of illuminates. And people love selfies, so there's like a lot of, it's like, yeah, it was a really fun project, and it sort of made me realize how impactful light can be, in the sense that it's kind of like magical, and there's this, you're an eternal child looking at, when you see light, you just like, how do you say, émerveillé, you're, yeah. Oh, and here's let's see some more work in progress. Am I going to be able to press play? Oh, yeah. So you see the different steps, like the embroidery, and then making the circuits, stitching everything together. And my dad wrote the code for this dress, and he lives in California, so it's it was really cool to have him write the code like at a distance and then me upload it and then it looked like this. He like really got the brief perfectly right on. This is a project that we did with Google, who actually met in 2018 when I did that presentation, because they had a stand. They were showing the jacquard jacket that they did with Levi's. So the jacquard technology is basically really fine conductive thread that is almost invisible when it is woven into fabric. And so I wanted to do something kind of esoteric, and I was really into tarot at that time. So I wanted to do like a digital palm reading with them using their technology. So there's the oracle on the left, is sort of the palm reader, and then you have the 4 elements, 4 dresses. This is also kind of work in progress. We tried doing it with 3D, the dress. It was actually easier to just do it by hand. And then this is me inside the dress, stitching the cables on the inside. And then you see there's like a whole rim around with the constellations embroidered. This is also the inside. And then on the left, you have the embroidery of the jacquard thread into the glove. So we dyed it to be the same color as the gloves. And so what happens is that the oracle in the middle, she has 4 fingers that correspond one to each dress, and then her palm corresponds to her own dress. So when the person comes, to get their palm read, they put their hand on her hand, or it doesn't even have to touch because it's capacitive sensing. So it's like the closer you get, the more it reacts. When you put your palm on her palm, then her dress starts lighting up, and then she can kind of choose a finger to light up the different dresses. This is the water dress. And all of these techniques are really experimental. This dress broke a while back, and then one of the dresses like never made it past the presentation. Like, this is a video. Can't play it. Oops. Oh, that's just skipping. Anyway, this is the fire dress. This is the one that never made it past afterwards. I think these sticks, like these plexi tubes, were just too long for the... I'm going to be really sad if none of the videos play. Oh no. Anyway, it's just her turning around. And so for the earth dress, we had a lot of fun. We had a kind of Breaking Bad situation going on in the atelier. We were growing crystals for like 3 months straight. And so we had the crystals that make up sort of the rim around the dress, and then we grew them directly onto the textile for the center part of the dress. And then you see the sort of different steps for the resin part. So we made the outline, and then we made the shape, and then we kind of filled in the center. And these are the 4 dresses, the way they look at the end during the presentation. We presented it at the Wax Museum in Paris. When you arrive in the Wax Museum, they have this small sort of music and lights show in a very small mirrored room called... I don't even remember, Des Mirages. It'll come back to me like at the end of the presentation. But so you see all the mirrors around here, and so we presented there. It's really like small area, and they use it for like sort of slowing down traffic into the museum. But it's a World Fair from 1906 thing. It's really cool. Is this going to work? Yes. Okay. For a lot of the silhouettes, we work with paper in the beginning when they have kind of big volumes. And we have different type of lights. So we have small LEDs that are embroidered. This is the thread. And then on the top of the dress, it's electroluminescent fiber. Also put lights on her eyes. She got burned with one of them. Oops. And we made light up nails, obviously. So this is the dress. You see it's not working anymore. The pink, it's supposed to be just pink. So it was kind of, yeah. This is a project that we did last year in December. It was commissioned by my old school, the school I did in Paris, and this church, Église Saint-Eustache, which is near Les Halles in Paris. And it was, the brief was to make a nativity scene. And so I presented this kind of crazy idea of making like a big tapestry that is 9 by 5 meters. Maybe for everybody working in the theater, it's like normal, but for me, it was like so crazy to make something this big. And then you have Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus also lit up. And this was the original proposal. And so the whole tapestry and the garments react to sound. This is a church that has very frequent concerts, actually. So, and also when they do mass and everything. So it was really cool to have the sky. The sky and the big star reacting during all of these events. This was making. So it's 2 panels basically, and there's all the constellations. There's one per sign, per astrological sign. So here you have kind of like the schematics for the circuits, and then everything is hand embroidered into the tapestry. So it's testing the star, and we had to make a star that was that we can remove, because we put the tapestry first. How do you say it? Like we had 2. It was in 2 pieces when we brought it to the church. Then we had to like put it at the end. This is the creation of the garments. You have a little Jesus over there, a little puppet. This is the day that this was try number 1. We had 2 tries. Because we brought it all the way to the top, to 9 meters, and then we're like, nah, it's not going to stay. Because we put it on a plastic tube, and the plastic tube was curving like this. It was really stressful, so we took the whole thing back down, and then they had to install like a special like metal bar, and thank God they had it. So they just put the metal bar, and then we put it back up and tied everything, the plastic tubing to the metal bar. But yeah, anyway, interesting. Next. No, this is like, let me see. Sorry, my video is a bit pixelated. And then we did a photo shoot with real people and a fake baby. And the fake baby was super creepy, and it was really, really, really like lifelike, and it had little eyebrows, and it was really creepy. Anyway, so she's like preparing the baby. We had to like put a little blush on it so it didn't look dead. And then, so we're in the backstage, not backstage, but like in one of the areas in the church. It was really cold, so they have bouillotte, like hot water bottles. So the halos also light up, like the light goes up and down. And then this is a project that we did this summer for the Olympic Games. Is it going to play? Sorry, I only have a very short clip. But so Daphne Burki, who is the sort of oversaw all of the costumes for the Olympic Games came to see me and was like, okay, we have a very special part that we'd like you to participate in. It's going to be imagined by John Lennon. It's going to be in the dark. It's kind of like the end of the world, and we want like this light of hope to come through the garments. So that was in January, and then we started working on it in March, and then we got the final approval of the artists in June, and then we had 3 weeks to make everything. So it was really frustrating, and also it was, they came to ask me to make the garments because of the light, the work that I do with light, and then in the end it was like a collaboration with Dior because Juliette is contractually obligated to work to be dressed by them. So it like became a collaboration, and everything was done really hastily at the end. But it was really interesting, good experience. This is sort of the first test, the first sort of textile experiment that we did. So the idea was kind of like this lava, molten rock with the light going through the crystals. Everything was kind of flattened afterwards because they wanted to be sexy in their clothes. So like we flattened all of the textile work on the garments, but they used this sort of rippled effect for the platform that they were performing on. So that was cool to see. This is embroidery. I'm doing a little bit of crocheting work. So basically you have the lights, then you have like a special plastic on top, then the beads, and then this fabric goes. Yeah, it's not gonna. Anyway, it's just me cutting out holes in the fabric. So then the fabric goes on top and stitched down. So this is the drawing that they did for Juliette on the left from Dior, and then this is my drawing because they didn't care about the dude. So I designed the lights on him, but he's still wearing a Dior outfit actually. So we did. It was really, really crazy. We were collaborating with a Dior sort of VIP women's atelier, and then the men's, I guess, also VIP atelier. And the way of functioning in the men's department and the women's department is completely different. So in the men, it's like the woman who's in charge of the men's department, she's not going to work on the weekend, and she has sort of a lot of respect for her employees. And then in the Dior and the women's studio, everything was like going back and forth really quick, and they were available at all hours of the day. So it was like interesting to see the different ways of working. And I'm kind of more on the women's side, like we're working all weekend and all night and it's fine kind of vibe. So it was actually nice to also work with someone who's more calm, and they do things when they're ready and everything like that. But anyway, so because we had only 3 weeks to make everything, we had done all of the embroidery prior to even having the final drawings of the garments. So as you can see, they're like these little waves, because it like kind of like symbolizes flames or growth, like sort of vegetation growing. So it's kind of something in between the two, and we embroidered like a few hundred of those with beads to make sure that we had all the shapes necessary just in case. And as you saw in the previous photo, originally it was supposed to be something that kind of went all over the whole platform, and then in the end it was streamlined to really just kind of garments. So that process was also interesting. So you see here you see the platform on the left. This was the Monday we're rehearsing. And this was the day that we were rehearsing with the artists. And then the next day, we were rehearsing in the real space where they were going to perform. And there was boats passing by, and it was raining, and there was wind. And they almost hit the bridge like 3 times when they were doing the test. So it was, they managed a perfect outing the day of the ceremony. But it was really interesting to see how you really need to, plan and test everything beforehand. This is backstage the day of the ceremony. It was really raining a lot. It was really fun actually to be backstage with them and to see the process all the way through. And here you could see, if you look online and you see like the full video of the Olympic Games ceremony, you will see that there's a lot of water droplets, and it's kind of complicated to see the outfit in full. So now you see the whole thing. I don't know if this is gonna work. Uh-oh. Maybe it's my internet that's not working right. Because the next few are just videos. Yeah, they're not showing. This is okay. So this is a video that Dior made. That was also really cool to work with them for that because they documented the whole process. So you have what's happening in my studio and then what's happening in their studio, and the sort of collaboration between the two. Just for the woman's outfit. Blah, blah, blah. There's a little button on the side that lights up the outfit. What was really great is that the day of the show, the little button fell off. So I was like scrambling in the dark and had to like put another button on at the very last moment before she stepped onto the platform. So it gives you a little boost of adrenaline. Oh, okay. So the next projects, I don't have a lot of in-depth imagery, but it's more just to give you an idea of other things that we've done. So if the video works, this is from the haute couture presentation that I did this January, and the collection is called Starlink. And the idea is like you're going out into space and you see all of these satellites like Elon Musk's polluting your visual space. And so everything is like just lines of little dots. And then at the end you have the space trash dress, which is kind of symbolizing of all this crap that's out there circulating around our planet. And so the girl in the middle there, she is the space trash dress, kind of like an explosion of metal and light. It's gonna work. And the idea of this presentation was really to show kind of what happens backstage. So everything was open to the public. They could see the hair and makeup, they could see the dressing, they could see everything. And we were doing a photo shoot at the same time. So it was like they were witnessing a photo shoot, basically, was the concept of the presentation. And we reused for the backdrop is the same tapestry from the church, but put it horizontal. And then these next few clips are just recent projects. This was a project we did with Nike for the French rapper Tiakola. So we customized a Nike vest with interactive LEDs as well, and so they also react to sound. And it was supposed to be for his concert in 2023, and then in so we finished the project the night, and then the night before, Nike US is like, stop, this project is not coming out. We're like, okay, what happened? And so basically, we had to stop, put everything on hold. Like, the garment was finished, everything was finished, we were ready, but we had the project didn't come out. He didn't wear it during his concert, and then we found out later that it was because Nike was also working on something for Drake, I think, with a lit up logo. So they didn't want this project to come out before that project. Anyway, so it was like really kind of a bummer. And then this year, Tiakola decided to make a video, and he didn't tell anybody that he was making the video. Of course, Nike knew, but like the public wasn't aware. And so the guys from Nike were like, "Oh, well, maybe this year he can wear the jacket in the video," and he did. And so it was really cool, because I feel like a video then stays maybe for a longer period of time. More people see it than if it had just been for that one concert. So I guess time is good sometimes, waiting. This is a recent project that we've done for Don Diablo. So it reacts to sound as well, but he can also control the jacket. So he has like a little DJ thing for his jacket. So, and there's different modes that can be activated. And the problem I'm having with this jacket at the moment is that the LEDs kind of stop working randomly. And so if anybody knows why that's happening, so I've gone to Amsterdam to his house to fix the jacket, and then he wore it for a show, and then 10 more LEDs are broken. So I think I'm gonna switch them all out with a shorter LED. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, so this was cool but frustrating project as well. And then this was a project actually that we did for the collection in 2023. But this was during another photo shoot, but I quite like this dress. So it's Baccarat crystals. You know Baccarat? Like they make chandeliers and really heavy cups to drink out of. And so we presented a collection in 2023. We did like a runway in their space, in their salle de bal. It's like a reception area. And we did a collaboration with them. They gave us crystals that are not like accepted for use in the chandeliers, because they have maybe a small defect or something. And we made the dress, which reacts to movements. Like when she's moving around, it lights up. And then maybe you saw this if the video plays. Oh, it's not going to play. Shit. Well, we did the ugly Christmas sweater for Emily in Paris, but it's not. Yeah, sorry. Maybe if I exit. Nope. Yeah, I think it's just not going to work, but you can see it online. Okay, well, that was the end anyway, so. Sorry about the.
Thank you, Clara. Do you want to join us on the daytime sofa?
Yeah.
As Clara said, we've been called light collectors before, because everything we do is inspired by light, and we go out and we look for different light. And we found Clara's work on Instagram. And so go to her Instagram. All of the Emily in Paris sweater, everything is on there, and it's an amazing Instagram feed. It's so inspiring.
I've never seen programmable light integrated into makeup or nails, so that's a first for me. Does anyone in the audience have some questions this time around? Wow.
They're like, what is this?
Oh, no, there's one up there. There's one at the back.
Anne?
Oh, Anne, we'll come to you in a second.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Clara. That was absolutely stunning and beautiful. I'm just blown away, and I think a lot of us are, as lighting designers, and the way that you've been able to incorporate using light on the body, which is so important for biorhythms. And I have so many questions, but I just want to start with one, because as you were going through kind of the timeline of some of how you were working, and at the beginning and I don't know if where this follows in through the trajectory of your work, but when you were doing, kind of the astrology dresses and the almost aura things, and the beautiful one display where it took the heat from the body and, you know, did this amazing display of light, which is just kind of amazing and inspirational to be having light reflected back through the person, as we see in, you know, the history of, you know, Ayurvedic practices of people seeing auras and healing through light, which you've obviously channeled and you know a bit about. And then going into the commercial realm, where you've got somebody like some corporation that's telling you you can't use your work because Drake has it first. And what I'm worried about is that your pure ideas as an artist and this new form that you're making getting somewhat co-opted by greedy corporations and putting maybe on artists that have some artists that might have contradictory messages about, you know, how women are in society, or some of these artists, you know, are really putting women down, and we know this from certain male artists who really have offensive language for you know, how they talk about women, and how, so that your work doesn't get, you know, kind of stolen and into this perverted realm of, you know, it's like, great idea, let's, you know, commercialize this. And meanwhile, it, you know, it's because your work was so initially organic in making the crystals and all this beautiful work and talking about human, you know, how do you separate yourself from too much commercialism, taking away your original mission? Sorry, I don't know if that's a ridiculously long question, but something that I'm curious about, if you think about that.
I don't know if, well, for example, when we worked with Nike, you're talking about this project. We didn't do anything with Drake, first of all. And Tiakola, who's a really young French rapper, is not at all in this kind of like misogynistic tendency. So I didn't feel like working for him would be detrimental to kind of like who I am or what the values that I, you know, stand for or whatever. I see your point. When we did the Emily in Paris sweater, I was kind of like, this is kind of making the ugly Christmas sweater, I don't know. But it's still like, first of all, you have to get paid for what you do a little bit. So I think I've been needing to branch out to different places. And yeah, I don't know. That doesn't really answer your question, but
hopefully doing things like the Emily in Paris sweater.
How often?
No, I was going to say hopefully that then allows you to do more experimental things or things that are more personal to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I would you know, hope. It was still a good sweater though.
Yeah.
You enjoyed the episode.
We had another question over here.
Yeah, Natalie.
I just wondered, in your wildest dream, what would your next project be? You know, if you could pick whatever that is, what would your wildest dream be for your next step? Sorry to put you on the spot, but I mean, it's so creative and clever, and I'm sure you have stuff in there.
Yeah, wildest dream, I don't know. I think I take it one step at a time. My next project, I'm thinking about doing something inspired by Las Vegas. So my wildest dream is for that to come true, like to be able to do that. And I think it could be, I don't know, I think my wildest dream is just to be able to dress people that I look up to, I guess, or have connections with interesting people. Like it's been cool, for example, working for Don Diablo. Like when his jacket didn't work anymore, he was, I mean, I warned him. I was like, these LEDs are a bit weird, careful. But it's been cool to be able to meet someone who's very open, who's super famous, but is still like a down-to-earth person. So I think the connections that I'm able to make with some of my clients are really like cool and strong. So I think just doing more of that is, yeah, just like one-to-one artist, I think is interesting.
Are you working with any LED manufacturers or not at all? It's just stuff that you buy?
Yeah, it's mostly stuff that I buy. I get LEDs. I mean, I buy. Nobody's giving me anything. I am in contact with one guy because yeah, but I don't know if he's the representative or if he's like. And then actually, I buy a lot of stuff off of Adafruit, and I know that that's run by a woman, so I'm always really proud to buy stuff from them.
I just wondered if you were able to sort of partner up with a particular or some manufacturers that it might help you solve some of the issues you're having.
Yeah, no, I have one guy who's actually, my mom is Polish, he's Polish. I've been wanting to partner with him, and he's given me a lot of his technology and like to work with, but it's really fragile in clothes, so I've not been able to really make it work yet. It's like these small OLEDs, which are really cool. But no, for most of the stuff, I just buy it.
Is there? Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
there's definitely a couple of. Then you can have a
No,
question.
it might come up anyway.
Yeah, so that was actually one of my main questions. But first of all, wow, this is amazing. Second of all, as a concert lighting designer, I'm normally against sound-activated lights, but what you're doing is so amazing. I really want to dig into the technology behind it, and asking about the manufacturer, where you're getting your brains from, more specifically the LED brain, or what you're using to control your LEDs right now.
My engineer codes
One more time?
everything. I work with an engineer who codes everything, and so then we're using Arduino to code things, and a lot of the time it's Bluetooth, what's it called?
The wireless for the
Yeah.
control switch.
Yeah, but that doesn't work for long distances. So, for example, we let Bjork borrow a dress for Coachella, and they weren't able to control it from a distance.
And
Oops. Also, they
This
didn't
mic-
listen to my comments about what lighting.
Yeah, when you say Bluetooth in concerts, that really scares me
Yeah,
because
of course. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
what works and what's not going to work, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, she needs some CRMX in there. They need some wireless DMX. So give us a call over here in the States, and we'll get you figured out. We were troubleshooting, like, oh well, yeah, that just sounds like some. Yeah, we got you, girl.
Hello. I also have a technical question. I was just wondering, for some of the wearables that you're intending for people to be able to re-wear, aside from fixing the LEDs from not working things,
Washability.
washability, yeah, what is the plan for that, or is there a plan for that yet?
I've been thinking now maybe making like removable, how do you say, doublure, linings would be a good idea, kind of how they do at Disneyland. That's what they do. I mean, for Don, for example, he's going to be the only one wearing his jacket, so it's fine. But I went to the Venice Carnaval this year, and I let this guy borrow my jacket, and he gave it back to me at the end of the evening, and it was wet. And I was like, shit. It took 2 days for it to dry.
Oh.
And so I don't know, but that is a very fair question. But I think dry cleaning has worked on some of the garments. It's more the embroidery that has a problem with dry cleaning than the electronics, actually. So, yeah.
Anyone else? Oh, one more over here.
Hiya. I'm just wondering, from like a project management point of view, it seemed like you do a lot of the hand embroidery and stitching yourself. Do you find that generally when you're taking on a major project, you tend to stick with one, or is there any overlap between them? And if so, how do you find delegation in those instances?
What do you mean I tend to stick with one?
Okay, interesting.
Wait.
As in, like, do you take on, when you have a project upcoming, do you tend to have that one project last over a span of a few months, finish that, conclude it, and then move on?
Oh, no,
or do
I
you
have
have
like
many overlapping?
3, yeah, they're like overlapping.
And do you
all the
find it
time.
easy to delegate
No.
within those? No, not at all.
No, but I have a team that helps me. And then, for example, for the Olympic Games project, they had freelancers come and help me also, because they were like, oops, 3 weeks to do all of this. And because we were also working with the atelier from Dior, it was easy because, not easy, but it was, they took on everything that was stitching, they took on. And we only did the embroidery and the electronics part. But for all other projects, we do everything in my studio. So I get help from people. Yeah, hire people or ask friends or my husband. He's like soldering all night.
Yeah.
See?
Okay, if anyone else has got more questions, obviously Clara's with us over lunch, so you staying for lunch? Yeah, you can ask then. Oh, okay, one last one.
Hello. beautiful work. I was wondering, some of the pieces was didn't cover so much. Where do you hide the batteries?
Yeah, just you put like a little, like up here,
Yeah, okay.
back here.
Yeah. I was thinking
inside.
it's quite
Sometimes
a
there's
lot
pockets
of light,
inside.
so, but it needs a big belts and stuff.
Yeah, I mean the battery packs are like this, and if there's not that many LEDs, then it's like quite thin, and you can put it, hide it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hang on, just last one. That was the last one, but this is the last one.
This is the last
This
one.
is the last one, yeah.
Bonjour Clara, je te pose la question en français, après tu peux la traduire pour les autres.
Okay.
Les types de lumière que tu utilises, c'est toi qui les choisis ou c'est toujours l'ingénieur qui décide selon le type de tissu au dessin que tu fais?
Tu veux le faire en anglais ou pas?
Pardon?
Je traduis la question en anglais.
Oui, parce que je ne sais pas si les autres ils ont compris.
So
Excuse-moi.
She's asking if the end, like who chooses the lights that I use, basically. Tu parles anglais ou pas? Tu parles anglais? Tu me comprends? Okay. So the answer to that is that I'm the one who is choosing all of the types of LEDs. So I source different LEDs and then I test. We do tests like with embroidery or like how to put it into the textile. And I get help for engineering help mostly to find which Arduino would be the best to use if we need Bluetooth or whatever other DMX you said. I don't know. And that's. Okay, yeah. So he knows all of that, and so I work with the engineer for everything that's all the coding, because I can make a light, blink, but then that's about it. I can't really have it interact, or I need someone with a bit more engineering to do that part.
Okay, no more questions. Because we've got to do two things before lunch.
Yeah,
so
everyone's gonna.
thank you very much. That was
We'll do
awesome.
a round of applause. 3 things.
So the other two things